Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to start my video off by announcing the winner of our product showcase video featuring our Christmas tunnel collection. And that winner is Fabian Gill 2248. So Fabian, I've already messaged you in the comment section. So all you have to do is email me info@scrappytalescrafts.com to claim your $50 gift card prize. And thank you to everyone who left a comment and liked that video. It received amazing viewership. It's still going strong, and it's because I have such an engaged following. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And there were some very kind comments that really made my day and my family's day reading those. So thank you so much. All right, so the products I'm using today: the A7 pop-up trifold, the birthday trifold cap, the Scenic railroad add-on, the A7 snowfall cover plate, and the new train station pop-up tunnel die. I will also pull in a few of the single trees from the tall tree and deer set from last year, but I don't think you really need that set. I'll still link it if you want to create the exact same card that I'm making today. But I did do some die cutting off camera. You can see I have two solid white backers from the train station tunnel, and from one of them I die cut the snowfall background. Then for my bricks, I have 4 white embossed brick panels cut from heavyweight white Neenah cardstock, and then I have 4 white shimmery bricks that I cut from the detail layer, and it's kind of hard to see that shimmer, but it's really pretty. And I'm going to start by gluing 2 of these bricks onto my embossed panels front facing, and then I'll glue 2 of them backwards because these will be my left and right wings, and I need them to line up on the front and the back. So that's why I'm doing 2 front facing and 2 backward facing brick layers, if that makes sense. I really like the tone on tone look of this, but the shimmery white is a little bit darker. So here is my first one, and I am speeding this up 4 times the speed. This actually takes a pretty long time to glue every single part of the brick. So if you have sticker paper, that would work really well. I'm just always scared with sticker paper that I won't be able to peel it up again if I don't line it up correctly. So I just go with the glue and I try to go as fast as I can before it dries on the other side. And while I'm gluing, I want to let you guys know that our pre-Black Friday sale starts tomorrow, November 21st at 12 a.m. Eastern and ends on November 23rd, Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be 25% off the entire website. It does exclude our new release, but this just gives people the opportunity to buy their favorite items early because they might sell out on Black Friday, and it will be the same sale as Black Friday. So it's a good way to shop a little bit earlier. And we will have some more doorbusters that I'll talk about next week and also in my newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, I will have it linked below. That's the best way to know what all the deals are going on next week, because we do have some 24-hour sales only. And for those, I have lives planned because they are going to be for newsletter and YouTube watchers only. So those will be very specific sales. So those will be on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And I will have my live schedule posted tomorrow along with the pre-Black Friday sale information. So that's going to go out in my newsletter tomorrow morning. So definitely sign up today if you aren't already. So now I'm going to work on my pull down. You can see this is from the Trifold pop-up. I'm adding double-sided tape above the horizontal score line, and I'm going to line that up behind my panel that has the snowfall background cut from it. You're not even going to see the bottom of the snowfall, so I don't really care that you can see that pull down through those snowflakes. This is also going to be covered up by a white shimmer solid layer anyway. So that's what I'm doing now. Flipping it to the back, adding some art glitter glue. I should have added my side panels first before doing this, but it's no big deal. I can just cut another one and glue it on top if I want. All right, so there I closed it off. And you can subtly see that shimmery white peeking through the snowflakes. So here I have my front-facing and back-facing brick. You can see when I glue one behind that it will perfectly line up because I have a backwards one. And at first I thought I could just glue these glue tabs behind, which you can, but I was worried that there wasn't enough of a gusset for all of my pop-up elements that are going to pull down. And that's why with the original Trifold, we give you a little bit of space in between the wings in order to accommodate the pull down fillings. So here I was debating back and forth, ultimately decided to cut the, I guess, side panels from the original Trifold, and I didn't bother to cut the whole arch. I only needed maybe 1/2 inch to glue behind the panel. So you can see it's not perfectly cut. I will add my double-sided tape to it and then again line that up on the back of my snowfall centerpiece and line it up at the bottom. And this allows you to create a custom trifold with really anything you have and with any of the pop-up tunnels that we have brought out. So here I'm adding that. I think if you went with the glue tabs that are already on the tunnel base pieces, that would work if you're doing a regular trifold card. And if you want the pull down trifolds, then I would suggest doing what I'm doing here. I'm reinforcing the score lines on those gussets. This one has a little bit more of that arch to the left side. So I'm using 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch tape. I really think you only need 1/2 inch though. And again, these were cut from the trifold base, from that arch. I didn't bother to cut the whole arch because you're not going to see it anyway. I just wanted to have those glue tab gusset pieces. All right, so now I'm going to cut off the glue tabs that are on my brick panels. I don't really need them. All right, so now I'm going to take my front-facing brick, and first I'm going to trim this 1/2 inch glue tab in half so it's 1/4 inch, and then I'll add some 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I'm starting with my left wing, and I'm going to glue my front-facing brick on top of that glue tab so the tape is face up. I'm going to line up the bottom of the brick with the bottom of the tab. And then to cover that glue tab on the other side, I will glue my backward facing brick. Before I do that, I'm just going to work on my right wing, cutting this tab in half, adding some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and then gluing my second front-facing brick on top. Once again, I'm going to cut off the glue tabs and line up my right brick panel onto my right glue tab. I'll open the card, press down that glue tab, make sure that the tape is nicely adhered. And then I guess I took a pause and decided to work on my die cut elements. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some white splatter to my trees. So I have 2 green trees from the tall tree and deer set, and then I have 2 taller, darker trees from the Scenic Railroad and 2 lighter green trees also from the Scenic Railroad. And what's fun with these trees is they actually line up with the other pop-up tunnels from the new collection. Those glue tabs can attach to the sides of the tunnel pop-ups as their own 3-dimensional layer inside. But you can use them on their own by cutting off the glue tabs. So that's what I'll be doing. And here I'm actually using a white chalk pen. I really need to buy some white acrylic paint for this technique because the chalk paint isn't like normal paint. It dries really fast. And I was also having problems trying to figure out the paintbrush to use because I've never done this before, but I see so many beautiful cards with this snowy look to it. So ultimately, I like how it turned out. I wish I had a couple larger splatters. Most of these are very, very tiny. I first started using the chalk marker and whacking it with another pen on top, but that gave me too big of the splatters. Then I tried a fine brush and kind of flicked on the paint like a toothbrush, and those were really tiny. So now I'm using just a really cheap paintbrush from my stash and using my finger to tap on the splatter. And this ended up, I think, working the best. I later switched to a pen and whack it on top again. Still very small splatters. I think it is the paint that I'm using though. I think if you get a fluid white acrylic or water it down, when I was watering my chalk paint down, it was making it translucent, so I couldn't add that much water to it. I still got the look that I was going for though, so I'll set those aside, wipe up my glass mat, and then I'm going to do my paper piecing. So I have my, oh wait, no, I'm coming back to the base. Oh, okay, so the reason I haven't added my backward bricks yet is because I want to glue the Scenic Railroad trees at the bottom so that it creates this really cool layered look when the card is closed, and then when you open it, you see the shorter trees on the front, and then the second layer will show the taller trees with the train from the Scenic Railroad, and it just adds some cool interest to the scene. So I'm starting with one of my shorter green trees, and I'm going to line it up at the bottom of my left wing brick on the inside. So I'm attaching it to the sides. So I added my glue to the side walls and the bottom of the brick panel on the back side, and then I will attach my trees on top. And you can see my other brick will glue on top, so it's going to be nice and clean on the inside. And then I thought I might as well add some acetate. I love adding acetate to cards, especially window cards. It just adds a nice expensive look to the design. So here I'm just freehand cutting a rectangle. Now I kind of messed this up. I needed a larger rectangle and I took the footage out. You can see that I originally glued the acetate onto the green trees at the top, but you ended up seeing the glue through the acetate. So you actually need to add the glue on the frame of the brick where it's going to be covered by that other brick. So yeah, I would have left that footage in, but it was already a 43-minute long video, so I took that out. But just know that mistakes always happen, even with people that create cards all the time. So now I have a clean sheet of acetate. I added my glue all around the frame, and now I'm carefully laying the acetate on top. And I am going to glue another tree. Oh wait, you'll see another mistake here. I have another tree that I cut out so that I can glue the new one on top of the one that has the glue stains on it. But I should have done that before I glued the acetate, and especially before I glued this brick piece. Luckily, the glue wasn't quite dry yet. It takes a while on acetate for glue to dry. So I was able to peel back every layer and slip that other tree inside. So I'm attaching the backward facing brick. And here's where I realize, oh, you can see the glue still on the backside of those trees. And for some people, they probably would have moved on with their lives. But I took everything apart again carefully, glued this extra set of trees that I cut, and it ended up working out pretty well. It could have been a disaster. So now I'm just going to add some more glue for that acetate. And then I will reattach my brick frame. And then on the right side, I'm going to add the taller, darker tree plus my my train scene from the Scenic Railroad set. I'm going to trim off the glue tabs on this piece. And if you wanted to, you could glue another set of the snowfall splattered trees on the inside. But for me, I was okay with just the solid trees showing through the back because I want to reserve my extra snowfall ones for my pull down. All right. I guess I am taking another pause to paper piece. Oh, because I need the bridge to create the whole scene. So I might as well paper piece everything. So I'm going to use the large train from the train station tunnel pop-up. Right now I'm adding white behind the silver one. And I'm going for a silver train. And I love this ends up looking very Harry Potter-esque. And especially in combination with that bridge, it just looks like a scene straight out of Harry Potter, which I think is really fun. All right, so I have all of these little pieces, so it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. And a lot of the train parts I cut from specialty cardstock. Holiday card making is by far my favorite time for making cards just because I end up always using my specialty cardstock and glitters. I don't get to use them as often for any other holiday, so. And typically with paper piecing, I like to start with my largest elements first and go down to the smallest. And I'm using the back of the packaging as reference to where everything goes. So now I'm doing the lights. The center of the lights are a slightly darker yellow. And from the Scenic Railroad set, I also cut the bridge, the train, and the moon with the Santa and the sleigh. I have a couple of moons because I wanted to have that on the front and back of each of the side wings. And with this train, I grouped the dies based on color. So that way you don't have to think too much about these teeny tiny pieces. So you can see I have a set of dies cut from a black shimmer, some from a solid black, and they're all grouped in the same die, and it distributes the colors well. And you can also just go for 2 colors. I mean, I don't think trains have this many colors, to be honest, but it makes it easier for sure. I used to have 40 individual pieces, and for one, it was hard to locate, or it was easy to lose or hard to locate what everything is. So having them grouped together, I find very helpful. That little black dot I added to the center of the train actually has the number 25 on it, so you can go over that number with a white gel pen. I think I do that on this, or I might add a bow. I forgot what I ended up doing. I made this card a couple weeks ago, and then I come and edit the footage to put on YouTube. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I will be going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's going to be, let me check, it'll be November 24th through the 26th. I will have the exact times posted tomorrow in my email and on my social media. But those 3 days are going to be 24-hour exclusive sales, and they're going to be based on very specific products that we have a lot of inventory for, that we're trying to cut down because we want to make room for new products. So in those lives, I'm going to be featuring the products that are going to be for sale. And this is something we've never done before, and I'm excited. If you already have the products that are featured on each day, then there is kind of a similar add-on special. So maybe you have the pop-up but not necessarily all the add-ons for it. We'll have a similar promotion where you can take advantage of maybe some add-ons you don't have. And all of that will be explained for each day of the Doorbusters. We will also have our free gifts. Now, the free gifts, the mystery bags, all of those are excluded from the pre-Black Friday sale. So just keep that in mind. If you really want those free gifts, you might risk that something sells out before Black Friday. But yes, we will have that again. We will have a 24-hour Cyber Monday sale as well. So I think I covered everything. And for me, it's always this part of the video where I don't know what to talk about because it's kind of boring watching me paper piece. But I know that a lot of people enjoy watching it. All right, here's my finished train. Isn't that beautiful? I love the subtle glitter and the silver base of the train. Here is the tiny train from the Scenic Railroad. I'm going to glue the train with the windows onto the solid layer. And you can leave your train like this, but I'm going to add a little scrap of white to the front and kind of curve it so that it looks like a larger window on the front. You don't have to do this. I just thought that looked nice. And I'm even going to glue the tiny, tiny black tires onto this train. You can use a fine liner for that. I somehow managed to keep all the tires inside the cardstock that I cut it from. So I figured I might as well use them. And I'm using the tip of my needle to pick up the tires. I also have some cardinals cut. I think those are also in the Scenic Railroad set. They're teeny tiny, but I plan to add a red bow to my train and I needed some more red elements. And that's also why I went with the yellow train to tie in the yellow in the moon. whenever I plan out a color scheme for a card, I'll try to use colors from the original color scheme as opposed to bringing in new colors. So I could have made this train purple or blue, but I decided that my pop of colors were going to be yellow and red, so I tried to stick with yellow and red. And then any additional colors, I kind of go for neutrals. Now, obviously, I create rainbow cards all the time, especially spring designs. I'll use tons of colors, but for Christmas, I've noticed that I tend to go for 4 or 5 colors max on a card. I definitely make a lot of monochromatic cards during the holidays. Okay, so this train, I'm going to just cut off the third buggy because you won't see much of this through the actual window. And I wanted to add this on the very left side so that you could see it through the window. So there was no point in having that third caboose added. There's even a die that you can cut that does an outline of the top of the train. So I cut that from light yellow. Definitely don't need to add this. This is such a small detail, but look how pretty it is. Okay, so the bridge is basically done. I have my moons. I did some of them off camera, and I cut the detail from light yellow, the solid circle from dark yellow, and then the Santa with the sleigh from silver. This railroad comes in the train station pop-up. I'm going to add some silver rails. And I love that this was drawn as perspective so that the train looks like it's driving towards you. Okay, here are the taller trees from the Scenic Railroad. And now I'm taking back my base so that I know where to line up the bridge. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to add glue behind this and attach it to the tree. And then to fill the empty space at the bottom, I will add the lighter green trees. You can also do a snow hill if you want. Actually, I think I go for a snow hill. But you could do trees if you want. That way, it looks like the bridge isn't just floating in the center of the tree. That's why I add the snow hill at the bottom. And I just freehand cut one of those. I'm going to line it up behind the brick frame. I'm going to add my glue only to the frame where it's overlapping. And then I'll add my acetate. Again, only adding glue to the frame. And then I'll carefully lay the acetate on top and give it a nice press into that glue. And then once the glue's pretty much dry, I will trim the top of the acetate off. All right, and then I'm just going to glue my backward facing brick to the back side. And I just think it's so satisfying to see something like that clean up so nicely. You can see I'm very deliberate with where I'm placing my glue. I'm making sure the glue goes even to those inner bricks by the window, because with acetate, you want a tight sandwich. Otherwise, if you're using cheap acetate like I am, lightweight acetate, it can buckle. And I showed that on a live before and it really bothered me. So now like I take extra care for the glue, but you also have to be careful with the glue because it can smudge on acetate. So acetate's very hit or miss. It's like my friend and my enemy, but this project, it cooperated very well and I think it added a lot to the card. So in the front, I'm going to add my moon, and I just love the yellow on the moon and the yellow on the train. And I'm also going to add Let It Snow onto the green trees on the front. And that sentiment's also included in the Scenic Railroad. I think that set just has a lot included. I mean, just the set alone creates this gorgeous scene. I haven't used any other additional dies so far, other than I guess the brick, but I think it would make a gorgeous flat card without the brick. I'm going to add another moon to this right, or to the back side of the left wing, and I'll do the same thing to the front and back of the right wing. I did stack up my sleigh with 2 heavyweight white die cuts behind the silver, and that really helps to make Santa pop. All right, now it's time to decorate the pull down. So I'll add my last little moon here, and the center is going to have my larger train and some more trees. I'm going to double up my train tracks because I plan to glue my train on top of that top one, which is pretty skinny, so I thought it needed a little bit more stability. And I will add the train to the front slit. I'll have my taller set of trees on the back slit, the shorter ones in the middle, and then I'll fill in with some of the tall trees from the Tall Tree and Deer set. First, I'm going to add my bridges at the bottom. So I'm adding double-sided tape to the rectangle portion of the bridges. You can see I'm folding them in half along the score line, and on each side of the score line there's an angled rectangle and then just a regular one. I choose to add my tape on the regular rectangle. It doesn't really matter though. So I'm going to have my angled pieces sticking up from the slits. So I'll start with the first one. I took the tape off, and from the bottom I'm feeding those bridges through, and the tape is going to stick to the pull down. And I have so many tutorials on the Trifold, so I'm sure you guys know how to do this by now. If you'd like to see a slowed down tutorial, definitely go to the live section of my YouTube channel because I do everything in real time. All of the mistakes are left in it because it's live. And I have almost every single pop-up represented in my lives. So here's the shorter row of trees cut from the lighter green. And I think the snowfall is just really pretty. I definitely need to get some white acrylic paint to do this technique more often. I'm using some double-sided tape on the bridges to connect these trees. And I didn't like the white bridge showing through the train tracks, so I'm going to take my scraps that I cut the glue tabs from on those trees and glue those onto the white tab. So now instead of white, you're seeing green, and it kind of blends in with the trees. All right, so now I'm attaching my train, going to give it a couple seconds for the glue to dry, and then I can connect everything with the connectors, also from the Trifold set. Oh, but first I'm going to fill in with some of my tall tree endear. I have some cut from that white shimmery cardstock. I'm going to glue the white ones in between the Scenic railroad trees to kind of break up the green, add some more color. And then onto the snowfall background, I'll add, I think, 1 or 2 green trees. I love combining different style trees. I did that a lot last year, and this year we pulled out a really old set of trees called our winter trees. I think our winter snowy trees on some of our Trifold designs. All right, so this card's pretty much done. We just need to connect everything so that these images won't fall backward or forward when you pull everything down. And I cut 3 of these connectors from the A7 pop-up Trifold base set. And I will start from the back and go to the front. So I like to add these connectors high up and towards the center. And this connector will attach the back slit to the back of the actual card base. So at first I thought I could do it by folding it flat, but I just always end up gluing one tab behind what's on the third bridge and gluing and then pulling it across to the piece behind it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do it again for the second set of trees. I'm finding a pretty high point towards the center, and then I'm going to attach it to the bridge that's in front of it. I have another connector. I'm going to attach this one behind the train. I'm going to find a place where it's going to connect to the trees behind the train. So that's important. It doesn't always have to be perfectly centered, and you can always add more than one for each bridge, but I always end up going with one. And on this case, I added the bridge to the front of the trees, and then I pulled the train to connect it behind. And that's it. That's honestly the hardest part of the Trifold. Here I'm showing that you can add some more trains to the bottom if you want. I think that would be kind of cute, but I left it as is. I was really happy with how this turned out. To cover those bridges on the pull down, I cut the cap from the Trifold cap die set from white cardstock, and I'm adding double-sided tape to adhere that down. And that pretty much finishes off my card. I'm going to add a red bow and then my red cardinals. I was going back and forth if I wanted the pop of red, but I just think that bow adds a Christmassy vibe. But you can see without the bow, you can create, I think, gorgeous fall cards, Harry Potter cards, like I said. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a winter Christmas design. So I will have everything I used linked down below, and I will be back, like I said, on Monday for a live. And then I'll also most likely have a pre-recorded video posted next week too. Congratulations to Fabian for winning the $50 gift card. And thank you all so much for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye!